Okay, looks like we're live. So for some time, I've been talking about with the CIA document series that eventually that I wanted to pull everything together and start to pull it all under one umbrella, so to speak. Because as I said, this channel and this kind of expedition into the unknown started off with the Mandela effect, and of course, we've naturally together as a chat, as a community, and as a sort of spiritual movement. It's more or less become the Mandela effect. I think it's time to kind of really start to kind of, as I said in the title here, capstone this entire thing. And I think a great article to start with to do that today would be from the Daily Mail. And I just want to start off by saying, hey, Mandy, Buster, Lisa, Dark Slayer, Secret Subscriber, Lenny, as always, hello, sir. Eric, Mandy. Oh, I already said that. So, anyway, folks, it's a Daily Mail article that says, "Who goes there? Bizarre CCTV footage shows the moment a man disappears into thin air while walking across a Kentucky driveway." It says a Kentucky couple was left spooked when they saw a man seemingly disappear into thin air while walking across their driveway on Thursday. Now, it says here the eerie moment was captured on the couple's CCTV security camera and shows what appears to be a man sauntering down the road. As he continues walking, the man starts to fizzle out and eventually disappears completely. One of the points in the article that I think is so interesting that they said is that he had on but the man does look to be wearing pants, an army fatigue top. His shoes are black. At the timing of the film, his wife rushed outside so that she could see if she could see the man. Quote, "The dude was gone. He just disappeared, and if he would have tried cutting through the yard, my camera system would have caught him," she said. I acci- I actually just recently got a spirit box, and my husband and I were going to try to talk to someone, LOL. So obviously, if you've been a follower of the channel, you know immediately your antenna should go up for quite a few things. Hey, Jim. Hey, Dick. What's going on, Rich? How are you? Everybody, thank you so much for showing up like this. This is really wonderful seeing everybody come back like this. So, the article is actually in the description. A lot of you guys are on Twitter with me, so it's in the Twitter feed. So, go ahead and jump on that article and just take a look at it for yourself. But I read mostly the meat of the article and what it's all about. Um, you know, and in the article, what's important if we sort of cross section that with the CIA document we've been talking about for the past 3 weeks, a couple of things are starting to blossom here. If we have the background of the CIA document and we read the article, we're able to look at it with a much more critical eye and understand what's actually happening. As the CIA document talks about, there are paramilitary teams or clandestine teams or whatever kind of teams that are out there because it was a CIA FOIA request, but it was through the Department of Army that did the actual intelligence intelligence gathering. But actually, it was the DoD umbrella that actually released the FOIA request. So you've got to imagine, since the documents creation in 1983, and then the subsequent documents that followed along afterwards, and going as far as to 1985 till the trail drops off, you know that different departments of the armed services and the clandestine services were using the technologies that we've been talking about now for three plus weeks. And the technology, for anybody that's new, which I don't see a lot of new people, it's mostly folks here that know what's going on. The technology essentially is this process from the Monroe Institute where they call clicking out. And what you do is you click out of this space time and you have a forward moving position of three people, one in the immediate past, the immediate present, and the immediate future. And what you do is you triangulate on a particular target, and that way you can spy on the target or do whatever it is the military and secret services do with targets. And in the specific model that they're talking about, events like this start to make a lot more sense. And what we can sort of do with events like this now, we can actually put some more context with events like this. So events like this become less of a mystery. And maybe to some people it would be sad, but for someone like me with my kind of background, I read something like this and I finally have something that's a more coherent context. You know, with the document and the gateway process that they use from the Monroe Institute, we know that reality is what? It's a hologram. And it's a hologram that's created through, frequencies and vibration. And we also know that the part about clicking out is that the point is that you leave this sort of vibratory um, area and you click out of this vibratory area, or this field of existence. They call it a torus shape. So you click out of the torus of this time space, and what you do is you're able to move freely in other time spaces. And the fact that they mentioned someone wearing military type regalia is obviously not lost on me, and I would imagine that it's not lost on a lot of regulars to the channel, that this certainly could have been one of those forward motion triangulations on either someone in the couple or someone in the neighborhood. And though we don't have exactly, we're 35 years, late on the technology that the clandestine services are using and the army are using. Certainly, I would imagine that perhaps in some way, at least as of 35 years ago, the human consciousness probably maintains some sort of awareness of a humanoid structure, if anything, just to keep your sanity. And there's a lot of mentions to the prep work you have to go through mentally. And there's also, if in the CIA document they talk about um, the way in which you don't go too far too soon, and you could become like it's an injury where your for lack of a better word, your spirit or whatever it is that's leaving the body is able to return to the body without damage, because that can actually happen. Call that is, in other words, the techniques of patterning recognizes the fact that since consciousness is the source of all reality, our thoughts have the power to influence the development of reality in time space as it applies to us, if those thoughts can be projected with adequate intensity. However, the more complicated the objective sought, the more radically it departs from our current reality, the more time the universal hologram will need to reorient our reality space to accommodate our desires. Monroe trainers caution against attempting to force the pace of this process, because the individual could succeed in dislocating his existing reality with drastic consequences. So I would imagine and that, by the way, that was on page 20, I believe. Page 20, section B of the document. So what we're talking about is, you know, when you read something like that, we're talking about a series of patterning. So the subject that's walking by here in this article isn't a ghost. It's most likely someone in the armed forces or the clandestine services walking by, and they are out of they're either from another plane of existence. It's most likely this time space. They've clicked out. They're doing some sort of, secret action, and they're targeting someone and they're watching them. And what's happening is, as what's read here in page 20, although the technology may be 35 years ahead, we haven't changed much since, as in human beings in our consciousness, since 1983. So what I would imagine why you can still see a human being walk by would most likely be that it is a human being, that it is someone most likely in the military walking by. And that's because, as it talks about in the Monroe Institute and some of the literature that they're alluding to, and some of the videos I've talked about, and some of the folks that have been through the programming, you don't want to disorient yourself from your body. And therefore, I would imagine once you get to, I think it's what is it, 15 or is it 21? I'm trying to find where it's the most advanced. stages that you can get to. They have these particular stages, and I think 21 at that time was the most advanced stage. And what that particular what it keeps concentrating on, Focus 21 is what it's called, which is basically a stage. So Focus 21 is the most advanced stage, and that is the state of being able to go into the immediate future. And it's most likely this person is in Focus 10, perhaps. I don't know, maybe. It could be Focus 10, where they're in the immediate present, and they're out of time space there, and they're walking through outside of the hologram. However, I will say that we have to get rid of the linear time construct whenever we're thinking about this, and this could be someone walking who's Focus 21 or above, because they could be walking in the future. And the couple, because where they're oriented in time space, they're most likely seeing it as the present, versus the person that they saw walking by. They could have been actually in Focus 21. Now that I think about it, now that I've thought that through. So, who knows where in time that person was? They could have been, Focus 10 or in the past, or Focus 12, either one. The point being is that when we read articles like this, we can start to now look at them with a brand new lens. We have a new tool in the toolkit, and understanding existence is the point. We've got the CIA document, and I've been talking about it for 3 weeks now. Now it's a way to start using it, and using that tool and that lens to reorient ourselves in this reality and in this existence, and trying to take things like news articles and understand in a new way what they're talking about in this particular articles. And I think it's a powerful tool, because I read the article now, and immediately I can pick out things out of the article that would seem strange to me, or wouldn't make any sense at all. I too would like to point out that this happened right as soon as they got a spirit box. Now, spirit boxes for the most part use electromagnetic frequencies, and spirit boxes by design are meant through intention. And if you know anything about any kind of New Age philosophies or any kind of occult philosophies, you can understand that intention is incredible. Interdimensional warfare. Dick Diamond says, yeah, that could absolutely be part of what is happening, or we could be experiencing here whenever we think of the paranormal. We could be thinking of interdimensional spycraft, interdimensional warfare, or interdimensional civilizations, where people, they just go to Focus 21 and they stay there. I don't know. What was I saying? I'm actually going in and out of your live chat, and I'll get to talking to you guys a little later. Let's see. You guys are Buster's talking about the clicking out. Excellent, Buster. Thanks for being in there. And if you could, if there's new folks in here, maybe you could help them along and explain what's going on. I appreciate you showing up, Buster, like this. Anyway, folks, so the article is incredibly interesting, and I think for all of us that are um, used to the literature, the FOIA requests, and have read through this diligently, I think this would be a nice first step for us to re-understand and reorient ourselves with reality. Um, so I think it's a great thing that we're looking at, and it's a great thing that we're going to be able to understand in the future. And I didn't want to draw this out particularly, in a drawn out fashion. I saw it, I put it in the community tab today, and it got some interest, and some people were making some notes that I thought were incredibly interesting and worthy of talking about. I also too want to bring up something that borderlines a little bit political. Someone said that the Daily Mail is kind of a they disparaged it in some way, saying it was like, like a gossipy kind of, it, kind of a. Let me go to the actual. What did they say specifically? Let me pull this up real quick, because I actually have it all up here. And they said that yeah, anything by the Daily Mail is tabloid. People literally can't tell the difference anymore. And I said, your first sentence contradicts your second. That's assuming that you're arrogant enough to assume that you're beyond those people, that population that you're saying cannot tell the difference between tabloid and what isn't. And then also, too, what I would counter to this person is that The MSM, I would say, is tabloid, and I by MSM, I also mean, most of the scientific establishment, most of the university establishment, as is witnessed by recent events with the school scandals. I'm sure that is the very, very, tip of the iceberg. So, this isn't a big, long, drawn out thing here, everybody. I don't have a lot of time today. I just wanted everyone to take a look at that article if you get time, and try to look at it in a different way. Um, and next week, next Monday, I'm going to be on the 18th. I'm going to be on unbiased and on the fence, and that's going to be really fun and interesting. And unbiased and on the fence. So that's going to be Monday at 9, I believe. Not no, no well, depends on what time zone you're in. I'm East Coast, so I think I'm going to be on at 10. Yeah, here we go. On the 18th at 10. So, and it's going to be the Paranormal Frequency show. So the timing is actually serendipitous that we have this particular article to go by. So check out the article. If you're new to the channel, check out the CIA FOIA requests. If you're not new to the channel, drop me a line and tell me what you think about the article, and whether or not we can start thinking about these things. And I really think we can start to kind of bind together what was once seemingly disparate things into something that's more coherent, and something that makes a lot more sense. And I think that we have a lot of things backing us that we didn't have before, and I think that helps. That helps quite a bit. Before I jump off, let's see here. See what you guys are saying. I'm paying attention to everybody here. Um, see, come back. My morning. Yeah, Lenny Time, he's got a Discord channel you should check out. I've been on there, so is Chick. He's incredibly intelligent, and a lot of great stuff on, I think it's Steampunk Radio on Discord. You can plug it here if you want. Let's see. It does encompass everything, yes. Yeah, I try to embrace Linus, I do try to embrace dark comedy myself. So there you go. All right, everybody. I'm going to. CERN is at fault for Mandela. Well, we don't know that. That's really speculation. We don't even know really if CERN is doing exactly what CERN says it's doing. I mean, we just found out that the moon is in Earth's atmosphere. So there you go. How about that for a radical reorientation of your reality? So when you think about it that way, and for the broader society that's not initiated in any way to what we're talking about, I would consider this audience at least 1 to 2 levels up, in terms of understanding non-traditional ways of looking at reality. And certainly, by telling the broader public, it shows just how either disengaged they are, or if we are indeed surrounded by NPCs that everyone should be in the streets running in panic, but because of the let's see, I'm just reading you guys' stuff, because now the moon change is a Mandela. Perhaps, maybe, who knows? I think I don't conscious machine 413. I don't know who you are, but I think you should read the CIA document um before reading too much into really anything else, because I think it'll reshape. I say read it at least 3 times. It'll reshape everything. And I think this channel's a bit beyond trying to divine, the intentions of CERN. Perhaps it'll come up again and will be relevant at some time, but right now I think those of us in the know, and certainly everyone is invited to be in the know. Go back to about 3 weeks when we started talking about this particular document. So, okay, folks. Yeah, there is no objective reality for anybody. All right, look, you know what? I'm going to do it before I go. You guys who are veterans, you can jump off. For the people who don't understand, It's a Department of Army CIA FOIA request. It says here, and this is the Army, page 8, section 14. The universe is composed of interacting energy fields, some of it at rest, some in motion. It is, in of itself, one gigantic hologram of unbelievable complexity. According to the theories of Carl Pribram, a neuroscientist at Stanford University, I swear I could almost read this by heart at this point, and David Bohm, a physicist at the University of London, the human mind is also a hologram which attunes itself to the universal hologram by the medium of energy exchange, thereby deducing meaning and achieving the state which we call consciousness. Then jump to page 18. Jump to the top at section 25. By reflecting on this model, it becomes possible to, quote, see how human consciousness brought to a sufficiently altered focus state could obtain information concerning the past, present, and future, since they all exist in the same universal hologram simultaneously. Go down to section 26. Consciousness is the organizing and sustaining principle that provides the impetus and guidance to bring and keep energy in motion within a given set of parameters so that a specific reality will result. Thus, you can manipulate that reality. That gives us an idea of how Gateway works. And I'm going to end this show finally with page 24, section 33. Finally, as Melissa Yeager puts it, writes, or is it Yeager or Jagger? I don't know, probably Yeager because it's 1G, writes, there is another potential problem in the sense that holograms can be viewed pseudoscopically. That is to say, inside and out or backwards, just as well as they can be seen in the proper perspective. Thus, that gives us in the insight of how occult practices. They say to be able to read things back and forth. I believe it was Curley that said that, but I think others in the Theosophical Society and even before that have said that as well. So that gives you insight as well, and that all technology doesn't start with a lab coat. It doesn't. It does indeed start in the mystery schools and the occult, and that's not a a value judgment, nor is it a moral judgment. It is more or less, how can I call it? It is more or less an observation of fact. If you could all give me a thumbs up, I would truly, truly appreciate it. I don't think I'm being recommended anymore, so only your thumbs up are keeping the channel afloat. I have been I've been demonetized the entire channel, so there's no way for my channel to be seen in any way now, unless you help me out and give me thumbs up and pass around this channel to everyone you know. Thank you for thumbing up, everyone, and I really appreciate it. And I will continue to try to understand this. So check out the article. And I think this is the first indication. Remember how I always complain about technology, that the only thing that it actually gives us is, or I complain about science, the only thing good it ever gives us is technology. Well, this is us sort of doing our own scientific research, and the technology is the way in which we can see the world. And by reading this article, hopefully the fruits of your labor will be self-evident. You'll read the article and you'll be able to see it in a way that you hadn't seen it before, and you'll be able to understand and give context to the paranormal like you've never been able to before. Okay, I've prattled on long enough. I really got to get going. I appreciate it. Anybody missed the beginning of this, go back and understand the context that I'm talking about. But the 18th, which is Monday coming up here, I will be unbiased on the fence. That's the YouTube channel. It's the Paranormal Activity Show. 10 o'clock, way past my bedtime, but it's going to be worth it. And I think this is serendipitous, and things seem to go in synchronicity. Whenever you get into a process like this, I look up at all the times and it's 3:33, 2:22, 1:11, 11:11, 12:12, 2:34. It's just constant. So anyway, I will talk to you all later. Thank you very much.